The phrase workplace culture has been a buzzword for years, and many companies still struggle to prioritize their employees. Joining us now is Lauren Buckley, strategy principal with the Hush Collaborative. Lauren, thank you so much for coming on to the show.
Absolutely, my pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so first things first, what's the difference between community and culture in the workplace? Because I think these are things that, really can be confused for one another.
Yeah, absolutely. The way that we talk about it is organizational culture versus community organizing. And organizational culture is really about setting what is valued, where community organizing is about the ways in which those things are valued. So one sets the norms, the beliefs, the values, another sets the associated and expected behaviors and actions that are taken. We think culture can affect change, but community really drives it. And I think the reason that a lot of companies are struggling is because culture is more rigid and inflexible. And what we require now, especially post-pandemic with the shifts in the workforce, a dynamic and adaptable way of working. Organizations by nature bring people together that may not otherwise be connected, but they do share common goals and they are interacting daily. And what that does is it creates a community dynamic, whether organizations have designed it that way or not. And what we believe and we have seen in our work is that that dynamic can be organized and culture can't.
Yeah, and then, for those watching who, may be leaders in their workplace, at home, what tips do you have to shift their focus to building community?
Yeah, I think the reason it's important is because it directly impacts bottom and top line growth, period. And you can look at it from a couple different angles. But the tips that we often talk about are applying organizing principles that focus on action, relationship, and connection. And so that's anything from making sure that there is space for your organization to learn together, where you are getting insights from your actual employees and they can influence organizational decisions. Building power, making sure that the systems that the employees are working within are both shaped and maintained to some degree by themselves instead of just the HR professionals that are often required to do it. Another big one is defaulting to action. You have to be able to prove, and this includes failure sometimes, that you need to be able to show action can be taken by a group of people if you're asking them to be able to innovate, grow, and change together. People create change, processes and structures don't.
Yeah, and then one more quick question here for you, Lauren. How does community, building foster purpose in your team at the workplace?
Yeah, for us, it's specifically shifting the way that we work. So instead of reinforcing the extractive practices that are often part of organizational and corporate culture, we're building generative ones that we're really working with what I would call visionary leaders who believe that profit over people is a flawed long-term strategy. And that has ultimately created the most meaningful and impactful work that we have done to date.
Certainly some meaningful advice, that's for sure. But that is all the time that we have for our interview today. Lauren, thank you so much again for coming on to the show.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks. And